What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I had to make this video. Something happened today, and I want to share it with you guys. Now, Danny Garcia on his Instagram, if you follow Danny Swift Garcia on Instagram, he posted a video, and it was basically a promotion for his fight, this fight week. He has a fight coming up with Rod Salka, and he promoted it through Instagram with a quick 15-second promo. And I was watching it, and I realized he didn't have no highlights of Rod Salka. And I was thinking, why doesn't, you know what I mean? You're promoting the fight. It's kind of like a fight commercial. How come you don't have any Rod Salka? Oh, yeah, that's right. Because there are no fucking Rod Salka highlights. It don't exist. Rod Salka is not a staple fighter. It's not a fight we were requesting. Hell, people didn't even request Mauricio Herrera fight with Danny Garcia. But I guarantee you this, Mauricio Herrera, that's my dude, and he gained a lot of fans in his last two performances. And I did an interview with him, and he spoke like a true champ. Meanwhile, you have Danny Garcia, who basically, he did an interview, and he said this. He said, Rod Salka is who I'm fighting. I don't care if the media is mad at me, or I don't care if the media is mad. He has 2 eyes, 2 hands, and 2 feet, and this is the fight. This is the fighter I'm fighting. It really just doesn't sound like a champion speaking, and I know he is a champion, and I respect him as a champion. I just don't like that. You know what I mean? I don't appreciate the champion like kind of having that attitude. And Nicki Minaj, Rihanna, they have 2 eyes, they have 2 feet, and they have 2 fists. But should you fight them? Fuck no, because it doesn't make sense. So I think it's kind of a cop out. To me, I think Danny Garcia needs to get a good publicist, someone who's going to help him and coach him, because right now the fans are absolutely murdering him. They're killing him. I watched the video. He said he called it The Purge or some shit, the highlight video with just him and no Rod Salka. He called it The Purge. And if you look at the video, the comments are just filled. People calling him cherry pickers, said he fighting cab drivers, saying he's a fake champion, paper champion. Motherfuckers is putting cherries. Like, I made this. It's just a collage. I got this right off of Danny Garcia's page, and you can see just cherries everywhere. There were so many motherfucking cherries. There's more cherries than on the side of the freeway. You know when you drive and you see they're selling cherries and strawberries and watermelon and shit. They put cherries all over his shit with the emojis, and the fans aren't respecting Danny Garcia. Now, me, I'm fair. This is a bullshit fight. I've always liked Danny Garcia, and I still do like Danny Garcia. However, it makes you take him down a notch based on his attitude. Like I said, I think he should hire a publicist, someone who can help him in a time like this. And people appreciate honesty and humility. Just be a humble cat like you were when you first started. Your father, Angel Garcia, was really the one talking crazy, and you were just the humble kid. But I think maybe the money's gotten to him, the fast life, getting more bitches and pussy and people who notice you more, world star, rapping, whatever it is, maybe it's getting to you and you're in the fast lane. But I think someone should really sit with him and like help him with his career, because what he's doing right now, he's losing people. He's turning people off based on his demeanor. And again, people respect a humble champion. I mean, even me, they call me Ego. I've done prediction videos, and sometimes, you know what I mean, drinking and stuff. I do my post fight, and I'm like, I told y'all motherfuckers, and you know what I mean, I'm bragging about it. And some people are like, you always think you're right, you know what I mean? Some people just like, they don't like that, you know what I mean? If you're flambostic and bombastic and you brag and stuff and braggadocious, they don't like that. And Danny Garcia is slowly moving. I had people who, they didn't really fuck with Danny Garcia that I talked to. Like, they didn't really like Danny Garcia, but they gained respect for him after like performances like Amir Khan or Lucas Matisse. But now he's starting to backtrack based on his selection process of Rod Salka. Nobody really requested this fight. And also how he's going about like interviews saying, I don't care if the media, they can be mad at me. Like, I don't think that's the right way. Personally, if I was his like publicist or whatnot, I would tell him, just be honest. I would probably go somewhere along the lines of suggesting like if this was me, if I was Danny Garcia and I was in this position, I'd be like, I had a tough fight with Mauricio Herrera. I think I won still. However, we're just going back to the basics. We got to work some things out in camp. And that's why I selected Rod Salka. I've taken a tough schedule up until this point. So I'm giving myself some time to work the bugs out of my training camp. Bow, boom. And people can't really say shit. You were honest. Even Brandon Rios, he had a performance with Diego Chavez, wasn't his best performance. And he was humble. And at the end, he admitted that. He's like, oh, this wasn't the best Brandon Rios. He was like, I was ring rusty. I had some ring rust. And I could do better. You know what I mean? But Danny Garcia is not really taking that approach. He's kind of like, oh, I don't give a fuck. Fuck the haters. I'm not giving challengers, rematches. And he's losing a lot of people. Now, another thing I want to cover in this video is the problem with cherry picking. This is the problem as I see it, as ego sees it, the ego thoughts. The problem with cherry picking is this. You pick somebody from a lower weight division the world does not know about. Rod Salka is not even a guy there's other guys in the sport that don't have big, like Latif Coyote. I'm not saying Danny Garcia needs to fight him. I'm just saying someone that caliber. Or even like a Randall Bailey. They don't have the biggest names. Like, if you're not a hardcore boxing fan, you probably don't know who Randall Bailey is. You know what I mean? If you just started watching boxing a year or two ago, you may not know who Randall Bailey is. But that guy has more clout than Rod Salka just because he's been in there with the Miguel Cotto, he's been in there with Devin Alexander, etc. Rod Salka, to me, I'm not talking about him as a fighter. I'm talking about what he brings to the table. It's less than that because the mass public, even myself, I watch boxing, like whether it's Friday Night Fights, Fox Sports, HBO, Showtime. I have all of that shit. And I didn't even know who Rod Salka is. And I follow boxing. I report on boxing. I talk to tons of people who like boxing. And people were scratching their head like Rod Salka. They were thinking it's Rob Deerdeck and ridiculousness and all kinds of shit. They really didn't know who this motherfucker was. So that's bad. And that's how you know it's poor matchmaking when even diehard dedicated boxing fans don't even know who the fuck you're fighting. So that's one thing. Two, this is where cherry picking goes wrong. Since you are fighting a guy that you're pulling up in weight, the world does not know by and large. He's not a big fighter. Like even on paper, like you look at like let's say Bernard Hopkins versus Shumanov. Shumanov, he ain't really beat nobody, but he had a high KO percentage. So even on paper, that's more of an accomplishment for Bernard Hopkins. Yes, he's fighting a Shumanov who ultimately wasn't tested. He hadn't been in there or beat nobody of significance. I think he beat Montel Griffin, who was definitely washed up and lost to Roy Jones and shit. But he was a big puncher. So at the very least, you can look at his resume, his rap sheet, whether he was fighting bums or stiffs or zombies, whatever you want to call them. He at least had a high KO percentage. So on paper, that's a little bit more credible than Rod Salka. Rod Salka doesn't really have anything on paper that just stands out like, damn, this dude, he's 6'2", or damn, this dude has 85% knockouts, or even like a Kamba guy versus Robert Guerrero. Kamba guy at least had a lot of knockouts. He probably had limited competition, but he had a lot of knockouts. Rod Salka doesn't have anything that really just stands out as a significant advantage. He has less big fight experience. He doesn't have any kind of freakish speed. He doesn't have any freakish like attributes or length or reach advantages. He doesn't have a lot of KOs. He doesn't really bring anything to the table. He doesn't have a name in the sport, anything like that. So the problem with cherry picking, and I'm not calling Danny Garcia a cherry picker as a whole. Some of you guys are. But to me, he has to establish that as a pattern. I think it's a piss poor choice, and I'm not happy about the fight. But I can't call the man a cherry picker. But if you guys want to, that's on you. You guys are leaving cherries and shit on his page. He has to show me, like Victor Ortiz has proven time and time again that he's a quitter and he quits in fights. Danny Garcia hasn't showed me that, but I still am not on board with this fight. Anyway, the problem with cherry picking is this. You're picking an opponent that brings nothing to the table, doesn't have any impressive things on his rap sheet, or anything that suggests it's going to be a competitive fight, or you will face adversity by dealing with him. Doesn't have high KOs or anything like that, and he's coming up in weight. And the problem with it is this: if you don't go out there and look absolutely spectacular, it's going to be considered a failure. I'm talking about you got to straight flatline this dude, not in the physical sense, but you have to really body bag him, and you have to really go out there and show that you're leagues above this guy. Like it's supposed to look like you guys don't even belong in the same on the same card, and that's the problem with cherry picking. If you pick someone like, oh yeah, da da da, and they give you a tough fight, consider it a fucking failure. It's gonna be a failure because this is a guy who, on paper, doesn't really stand a chance. So if he's in it, if he's winning rounds and stealing rounds, good luck. Good luck trying to bounce back or convince people. You just set yourself and your career fucking back. Same thing with even Pacquiao. Pacquiao versus Chris Algieri. Pac hasn't had a knockout since 2009. If Pacquiao doesn't knock this dude out or knock him down a couple of times or one time or just really look spectacular against a guy who's coming up in weight, then it's going to be considered a failure. And that's the problem with this type of matchmaking when you're trying to cherry pick and pick soft touch opponents and stuff like that. And Danny Garcia, ultimately, no one's been able to answer this. So I'll leave you guys with this thought. And if you guys can intelligently answer this and explain it to me, I would love to hear your replies. The thing is this: Danny Garcia has been on record, him and his father, saying, we beat Mauricio Herrera. Danny Garcia also said he believes he won by 8 rounds. He thinks he won 8 rounds in a 12-round championship fight, right? What is the point of backtracking and taking this level of opponent who's coming up in weight, doesn't have anything that suggests he beat you? Why would you take this type of opponent if you honestly believe you won 8 rounds to fucking 4? It does not make sense. Now, you can go through the history book and tell me somebody who won 8 rounds in their previous fight and looked good, according to basically what they're telling us, and they went and took a soft touch. Now, Amir Khan got knocked out by Danny Garcia, so he came back, he fought Carlos Molina in a very similar situation. A lot of people didn't know who Carlos Molina was. He came up in weight to meet Amir Khan at 140, and Amir Khan blitzed him. But Amir Khan was, 1, with a new trainer, and 2, he was coming off of a stoppage loss. So to me, that makes sense. You're taking a softer touch opponent because you just came off of a loss. You were just stopped in your last fight. Now you got to work the bugs out, get back on track. So if Danny Garcia and his father honestly believe that he beat Mauricio Herrera 8 rounds ahead, and you know what I mean, he beat him by 8 rounds, why the fuck are you backtracking and taking this level of opponent? Why would you not take somebody who's respectable in the division, like a Victor Postal, Hank Lundy, Kareem Mayfield, Emmanuel Taylor, or whoever the person you feel is respectable at 140, Josito Lopez at a catch weight or something? Why would you not take somebody with a bigger name that suggests more if you really honestly believe you won by that margin? It doesn't make sense to me. So to me, despite what you say, you can believe words that come out of people's mouth, but I believe actions more than I believe the words. You know what I mean? You can say, oh yeah, I won this fight by 9 rounds, 10 rounds or whatever, but your actions are going to tell me more than what you're saying. And the fact that you're backtracking to this level of opponent suggests that you think you have things you have to work out and kinks in your armor that you're going to try to polish up and build confidence back because you know you lost your last fight against Mauricio Herrera. That's what that suggests to me. So again, I just want to go over it. Y'all are terrorizing Danny Garcia with these cherry emojis and shit like that. And I just want to talk about the problem with cherry picking. And to me, that's honestly what it is. The problem is fans are not going to be pleased unless you go out there and straight demolish Rod Salka. You know what I mean? If it's competitive in any round, you know what I mean, you might as well just consider it a total failure. Like if Rod Salka wins, I'll say 3 rounds. If he wins 3 rounds, then you can consider it a fucking failure. If he wins like 3 or 4 rounds, because this is a guy who is, in a lot of people's eyes, a cab driver, a tomato can, a bum. And if he has any moments where he's really shining or exposing vulnerabilities, it's really just setting you back. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like the video. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.